Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Wealthy Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Ward Powell. And if you're a dentist looking to crack the code on how to grow your practice and dominate in this space, then stick around. You're in the right place. Every week, we're sitting down with some amazing dentists who are doing incredible things in their businesses. We're talking about everything from how they keep their teams loyal and dedicated to how they stay ahead of the game in this crazy, fast-changing industry. You'll hear about hacks like using virtual assistants to free up your time, strategies to make more sales with less effort, and even mind-blowing stories about patents and inventions that are changing the industry as we know it. And it's not just about growing your practice, it's also about finding out what works from a clinical perspective. Whether you're just starting or you're ready to scale to the next level, there's something here for you. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive in. Thank you so much, Elijah Desmond, for joining the Wealthy Podcast, the Wealthy Dentist Podcast. We're so happy to have you. And audience, brace yourself. We got some really good information to share today with Elijah. So I'm going to first start off, as I do with all of my guests, is first find out how and why did you get started into the dental space? What happened there?
Yes, I'm going to blame that on my family. So my uncle's a dentist, my aunt's a hygienist, my mom's an office manager, and I was raised on a really big farm, and I know what really hard work is like hard work where you're sweating,
Yes.
you're using all your muscles to,
You
and
saw it.
yep, and I knew I did not want to do that. So naturally, it led me into dentistry, and I graduated from the Ohio State University in 2009 as a dental hygienist. However, I'm not really employable. I found out really quick. I like making the rules and breaking them. Rules are made to be broken, and honestly, I'm an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, and so while I love my dentist and my hygienist and the whole team, it wasn't for me. I felt trapped in the walls of a dental practice, and I needed to get out. And so I basically started my career down entrepreneur lane. As I graduated from Ohio State, moved to the beautiful islands of Hawaii, and was there until 2012 when I sold my first business. Now I'm down in Florida, South Florida. I got a beautiful 5-year-old daughter, a 9-year-old daughter, and wife. And there's been plenty of that's happened in between now Hawaii and then with starting 20 new. I'm gonna call them experiments, not businesses, because if I count them as all businesses, I would be about a 50% failure. And I'm not a failure, but look, I failed miserably on 7 businesses, and I've exited successfully about 7 or 8 as well, and now I have a couple left. So
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. So yeah, you how long did you actually stay in the dental field?
yes, well, I'm still in the dental field.
I'm talking meaning as a RDH.
Yeah, so I practiced for about 9 months with the same practice before I started my first business, which was a dental staffing agency.
Oh.
And so I went around to all the islands, passing out my business card and knocking on doors saying, if you need an extra dental hygienist, if they get sick, they go on maternity leave, vacation, not only myself, but I have 80 other dental hygienists, I have assistants, front office, and dentists that I could place in your practice.
Oh,
And
man.
so for the next about 2.5 years, I actually temped myself when I found the good opportunities, the good jobs around all the islands. And then I would send everybody else all around. But that was my very first business. It was called Hawaii Smiles Dental Staffing Agency. And I successfully exited it in 2012.
So okay, all right. I just want to stay right here for a second.
Okay.
You said you moved to Hawaii.
Yep.
From where now?
From Ohio.
From Ohio, right? So, okay. Now, I gotta ask you, man. Are you like you look like you from Hawaii? I know people say that.
I get it all the time. Everybody always
But
thinks
I
I'm
just
someone.
like, wait a minute. It seems like it should have been the other way around. But go ahead, talk about it.
Yes, yeah. You know, I'm put like this. I wasn't accused that often of looking like I was Hawaiian when I lived in Navarre, Ohio, outside of Akron, Canton area, because not that many people see a bunch of Polynesian folks around there. Now, after I graduated from high school, they have this thing called freshman 15. Well, for me, it was like freshman 35. So, so as I gained some pounds on there, and I was in a more cultured place like Ohio State University, where there's every type of diversity you could think of, that's when I started getting accused of being Polynesian, Samoan, Hawaiian, Islander, and
Oh man. Oh
and
my goodness.
yep. And then when I moved there, I'm like, oh my gosh, these are all my people. These are all my people, and now I understand. But I hate to burst the bubble, but my dad is black, my mom is white, and I'm just a mixed guy from Ohio, that's accused of looking poly.
Maybe it's in your blood somewhere. I don't know if you've done any of that DNA testing or whatever. Maybe it's somewhere in the strand. But wow, that is great, man. That is great. So tell me about what you're doing now
Yep.
that's helping dentists. How are you helping?
Absolutely. Well, I'll start with I have been like the connector in our industry for a very long time. I'm creating dental influencers and I'm connecting dental influencers through one of my events called the Dental Socials. It's kind of like the Grammy Awards for dentistry. Um, but I've been doing that for a long time. But now I'll call it stakes are raised. Now I'm connecting sellers of so dentists that are selling their practice to the buyers in a very unique way. So I own Dental Pitch Brokerage, and it is a very out of the box brokerage firm. And there's experts for everything. There's experts that clean teeth, right, and help with oral prevention. That's the dental hygienist. There's experts that place implants. There's experts that are business consultants that help grow practices. We, as in myself and my team, are the experts at selling your dental practice for the highest amount and the best terms. And we do it in an extremely different way that the industry really hasn't seen before, which has allowed us to grow so fast. So we have about 430 sellers in our pipeline in this year and 55 strong buyers in our pipeline. And we just do things extremely different in a very fun way. And a lot of people on here probably haven't sold, but for those who have sold, know it can be stressful and it's a huge part of your life. It's a big deal. And we basically make it extremely fun, less stress, while getting you the most for your practice in the best terms.
Love that. Love that. Now, without sharing the secret sauce, could you please help us understand what makes you so unique?
Yes. So first off, I get all of the opportunities for the dentist that I'm selling through my relationships. While my bank account may not be that big compared to many, my relationship bank account is huge, more than most in any room I go into in dentistry because I've served so long and connected and brought the people together, right? And so what makes us unique, number one, is we're not out here doing a whole bunch of marketing and going in people's inboxes, email inboxes, and spamming, etc. The leads all come to us because of who we are and in the industry that I've built. But what makes us different once you're in, like once we're working with the seller, and by the way, there's two different types of brokers. There's a sell side broker. There's a buy side broker. Specifically, we are a sell side broker, so we're paid by the seller. And but what we do different once we've engaged somebody is ultimately we have events about 5 per year, and we will bring 10 specific dental practices to the event. And we'll fly them out, and once we fly them out and put them up in a hotel, we have this confidential event in which we will bring 10 of our 55 buyers, and put them in a room. Everybody signs non-disclosure agreements, so you don't have to worry about it getting back to the wrong person, essentially. And then we bring in each dentist one at a time. So my team will go out into I would call it the green room, and go kind of backstage and go grab the dentist and say it's time to come in. The dentist, we ask them, if you were to have the grand finale of your entrepreneur life, and you were to basically sell it all and have a massive multi-million or $1 million check waiting for you, what would be the walk-on song that you would choose? And so everybody has all different types of genres, and we know one thing: we're putting the music on at 10, and we're blasting music. It's a walk-on song. So the dentist comes in the room with their walk-on song. They get on stage, and then myself or my business partner, we interview them from the stage, and we ask them about their practice. Things that are pretty straightforward and simple, like tell us about your journey, right? Tell us why you decided it's time for you to sell your practice. How long do you intend to stay on with your practice as a dentist? And don't worry about the business at all. Just focus on doing the best thing you know how to do, which is, treat patients and see patients. How long do you want to stay? What type of marketing do you use? Do you have any specialties in your practice? That type of questions. And then after we're done asking them the questions on stage, it's very, we're relaxed. We're sitting down in seats side by side. There's waters in the middle. It's a good environment. The buyers then ask the questions, and they say, questions that they have about the practice that are non-financial. We've already provided every ounce of financing ahead of time by doing a quality of earnings light. And that basically gets us everything that we need to know in the past 4 years, including the trailing 12 months, their EBITDA, their adjusted EBITDA, and everything that we need to know so we can defend their EBITDA and get them the highest multiple. So they've already been given that. So these buyers are not allowed to ask any financial questions. And after they leave the room, this is the seller. The buyers, they write down on a sheet of paper, we pass it around. There's 30-minute appointments to meet with each person. And so they write down their name. And sometimes these sellers may have up to 10 people that are interested in buying their practice. After the event's over, we put the broker wall back up, and we basically negotiate all the terms on behalf of the practice and the number. Sometimes the terms are better. They're like most important thing, right? If you have like a really good situation, the money is really the next thing. We can get you the highest number, but the terms are most important. Yeah. What does quality of life look like after you sell?
Absolutely.
So we do that, and ultimately that's what makes us different. It's fun, it's engaging, it's a live event. You get to stand on stage and tell the world what you've built in a relaxed environment. It's not high tension. And then some people don't want to do that. We also work, the traditional route. Well, we're to send it out to all 55 buyers, and then we'll work the back end and get them that way if they don't like the event.
Interesting. Yeah, that is creative. So, what are some of the events that they come to? Are you got special names for these events? Or?
Yes, I can give you a few examples. So, like one of the event is Women in DSO in Las Vegas. That's happening in March. Oh. Another event is the Dykema Conference. It is happening in August. Another event is Florida Dental Convention. That's happening in June. These are already conferences that exist. We just at the same time have a private event in a private room, and have these events that coincide with those events.
Okay, so you get your dentist in a nice place. You get them in a very calm, serene sort of type of atmosphere, and how do you prep? Or how do you vet the buyers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first off, there's a various amount of buyers, various different type of buyers. We have the large, big DSO groups. We have emerging groups. We have private equity. We have family offices. And then we also have private practice dentists. And in the 55, we don't count the private practice dentists in the 55. But essentially, every single buyer has a different structure, most of them. So some have a kind of like a JV type of model, joint venture model, where you'll retain, a lot of equity. Some of them have an opportunity for you to go into have a percentage of the holdco, the holding company. Some of them will buy you out flat out. Some of them will say, if you don't want to stay, you don't have to. Some of them make you, a lot of them want you to stay from 3 to 5 years. And so I don't think that there's a perfect DSO that's out there or group that's out there. I think that it's different per person. So what we do is we go out and get all the information from them. And ultimately vet them out to match them. It's like being a matchmaker, essentially. So there's not a one size fits all at all in this industry. Some specialists, there's not a massive amount compared to GPs that of opportunity for them compared to like GP practices. But there are, for example, implant specific buyers, right? We have those. There is oral surgery specific buyers. There's pedo ortho buyers. There's some buyers that will buy everything. Then there's also some private equity firms that don't have a huge amount of practice. Say they don't even have any practice. They're trying to acquire their first 8 to 10 offices. So there's so many different buyers out there, and we've gotten to know 55 of them. So that way we could play matchmaker and then ultimately put them in a situation where they're pretty much forced to come with the best offer. And this one has the best offer, and this one has, and then we come to them and say, hey, here's where we're at. We're going to have to go a little higher, or these terms don't make sense over here. So if you want to be in the competition to get this practice, you have to match these terms. And then ultimately, when everybody's at their final offer, we present them and say, okay, to the dentist who's selling, you have this option, or this option. And the surprising thing is a lot of practices, it is the most important thing is the terms. Because if this one's making you stay on for 5 years, this one's making you stay on for 3 years, and there's an opportunity for you to make more during that 3 years on the way out. Makes sense. Some groups are 25% of what you're producing. Other ones are 35%. Could be a big difference while you're there. So there's no one size fits all. Hopefully it's a long-winded answer to your question. But
very interesting. So now I'm wondering are in terms of the DSOs, or I should say the buyers,
yes,
be anybody.
Yep.
You have many like individual buyers or potential buyers that's a part of your 55. No, yes. Oh,
so the answer to the question is we do have many. When I say individual buyers, I'm talking about a dentist that owns 1 or 2 practices. I would consider them a private practice dentist.
Mm-hmm.
And so of the 55, there's not private practice dentists in there. There's a lot of private practice dentists that I have in my network that are buying, but I don't count them in. And let's compare apples to apples. So let's just say I have a practice, and that practice is $1 million practice. Okay. And I have a buyer that's a dentist that wants to acquire that office. It's a private practice dentist. That private practice dentist is most likely going to offer anywhere between 70% of collections to 100% of collections for $1 million practice. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then you have a group practice, okay, that comes along and says, hey, dentist, I would like to offer you I'm going to call it a 4 times or a 5 times your EBITDA. So say the EBITDA on $1 million practice is at 20%. So it's a $200,000 EBITDA. Okay. Well, if they did a 5 times multiple, which is very realistic, 4 or 5 times is what you'll get around that at this point with currently the way that, interest rates are, et cetera. 5 times 200,000 is $1 million. So that group is going to say, hey, I'm willing to give you $1 million for the practice. However, I would love for you to stay practicing for 3 to 5 years. And you don't have to worry about any of the business. Everything can stay the same, but from a business standpoint, we'll manage everybody. We'll take care of payroll, all of the bills, all the overhead. We'll even make it to where we're helping you hire if you need to hire. We're not going to get rid of anybody because the big issue in our industry right now is people in the first place. Of course, unless they're a cancer to the office. We'll handle everything and let us pay you 30%. So you as a dentist for the next 3 years to 5 years can make 300,000, let's just say. And that, 3 years, it's about $1 million. And they'll say on top of that $1 million that we were going to offer your practice, we're going to give you 70% up front. And then the next 3 years, you can do an earnout for 30%. But there could be upside to that, meaning when we grow your practice, your 30% is going to be bigger, right? Or they can allow them to maintain it. And when that group sells, it's called a second financial windfall. They maintain 30%. That 30% is now worth way more than 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Could be worth 7, could be worth 10, 12. You never know. But at the end of the day, there is that is to bring this full circle, that's the opportunity that the groups are giving them. And I'm impartial. Like, it doesn't matter to me if they sell to a private practice or an emerging group or private equity, big DSO, as long as we make them happy and they sell to who they want to sell. But the point is that if you're talking about just money and math, the math makes a lot of sense when you're getting offered all of that top dollar, plus you can work 3 to 5 more years, double the amount of money. So if somebody said, hey, you can retire on 1 million or you can retire on 2.5, what would you choose?
Yeah, it's obvious, right?
The 2.5. And that's the reason why that group dentistry, that the DSO space is really, they're taking over a lot of the industry. We're 30% right now, and it's trending in the next 5 to 10 years to go up to about 85% and then slow back down to about 65, same as medical. But that's the difference. Now, there'll be dentists that come to us and say, we just want to sell to a private practice dentist, and we want the heck out of here. And we're trying to get out of here. And that's great for associates, right? The associates have been working for another dentist for a while. They're like, I want to own my own practice. Okay, boom. And they want to turn their keys over. It's possible they can do that. They're not going to get near as much money if they would have stayed on for 3 to 5 years. But we absolutely work with private buyers or private practice buyers as well, to answer your question.
Wow. So at what point, I think the next question would be, so you might find yourself, I don't know, some dentist might not be like real as savvy as you are with understanding the terms, and they reach out and say, hey, I need someone to help me with this decision. Do you consult as a part of your?
Yes, absolutely. And so, I'd like to tell everybody, conversations are free.
Oh, that's
yes.
important, especially when you talk about millions of dollars of potential sale.
Yes, absolutely. So conversations are free, number one. And ultimately, I have seen every type of situation, so it's easy to help people and guide them. Oftentimes, people aren't ready to sell yet. They think that they are, but they're actually not ready. They need to grow their EBITDA because there's a lot. Like, let me just give you an example. There's a company that I actually met with for lunch today. Their name is Spendly. Okay. For every $1 million that a dental brings in revenue, they typically can chop their overhead by $50,000 to $100,000.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And they're doing so from merchant fees, owner's insurance, payroll, phones, telephones, internet. And this, to explain what that means, if you can grow your EBITDA or add to your bottom line by $50,000, what that's doing is you're getting a 5 times multiple on that. So they may be able to get an additional $250,000 on the sale. 50,000 times a 5x is 250,000. So there's a ton of money on the line. So basically, somebody reaches out and say, well, you need to first get a quality of earnings light. And what a quality of earnings is essentially it's a back date of 4 years. It's knowing everything that you need to know about the practice, the payer schedule, are they, PPO, they fee for service? Is there any Medicaid in there? You get to know their EBITDA, which is the most important piece. You get to know their adjusted EBITDA. So if they have any add backs, say they're running a car through the business, right? Say they have a consulting fee. They charge $50,000 a year. Well, that's an add back. Personal items that are ran through the business. Well, those are like add backs. There's many different types of add backs, and that's adjusted EBITDA ultimately. And so we say you should go and get your quality of earnings light so you know exactly what the practice is worth. The big mistake people make is they will go straight to the DSO and say, I'm looking to sell my practice. The DSO calculates the EBITDA. That's crazy. That's like, what do you call that on a house when you get a house appraised? Yeah. So it's like selling your house without getting it appraised. It's crazy. And it's only like $2,500 to $5,000 for the most part to get your quality of earnings light done. And we don't do that personally. We refer out to 2 to 4 companies that does that. But the kicker is that you should know how much you're worth. And the real estate is a whole nother conversation. But, just to start with is what is your practice worth? Knowing what it's worth is important because then we defend your EBITDA. So while we're a sell-side broker, we believe in full integrity, meaning we're not going to lie or change numbers to tell the buyer they need to buy you for an inflated EBITDA, right? We're not going to make the EBITDA. We need to know without any doubt that this is your actual EBITDA because all we have is our reputation and we need to represent them properly. So while we're a sell-side broker, we're of integrity and we want to present them to the practice that's buying them with all the right numbers.
Oh, wow. This is just really, really, really great information. I'm sure people are going to love this. Let me ask you this. In your, as you create these and developed these relationships over the decade or two that you've been doing this, what has been some of the most challenges that you've found yourself working with or up against when you?
It's a great question. So let me just be clear. Since 2015, 2014, I've been developing relationships within our industry and connecting people, creating influencers, connecting them, helping connect the industry. In the past year, we've been doing this. So just to be clear on that, I think it's super important to have transparency and tell the story the way that it is. The biggest thing that in the past decade is personality fit. You try to connect two people together and the fit doesn't work, right? Which is what separates us in the actual brokerage space because instead of like meeting who your buyer would be like 50% of the time or 50% down the road, like you got to turn in all your paperwork numbers, you're already in negotiations, but you haven't even met who you're going to be partnering with. That could be an issue. We introduce them very early on, especially if they come to an event, they get to meet them right now, right? And the issue is not introducing them early. That's an issue. This is industry wide. Now, an issue that we personally face as a brokerage firm is that a lot of the practices, they do not have their finances ready. They can't pull, 2020, 21, 22, 23, or, forward. They can't pull their numbers because their CPA potentially may not be, doing the best job. They could have been doing better. And there's a lot of CPAs who are great, but some are not. They may have not, maybe they've filed extensions on their taxes, so they're like way behind, or they take forever to get all the numbers. That's a problem. That's an issue because we really cannot shop the practice until all of the information is there. So that is an issue. Another issue would be a practice that is wanting to sell say they have a practice they're bringing to us to sell, and they don't, they actually have another practice or two that they want to keep. That's an issue.
Oh, how
It's
so?
it's an issue because when these groups that are buying the practice, they want that practice to be the focus for that dentist, right? So unless they're completely extracted from the practice, which would be is a different story, it makes the sale a little bit difficult. Typically, they sell everything, not part, right? So they'll sell two practices, not one practice. And sometimes you go down this road and it's almost to the finish line. Then the dentist raise their hand and say, "Well, I do have this other practice," and they didn't say it from the beginning.
So is that something that you try to find out at the very beginning when you're dealing with, okay, and you say accept or no accept, huh?
Yes, and will we still work with them? We will still work with them. It's just a little bit more of a difficult sale when that happens. It's just a little bit more difficult to work with, but we like to know that out of the gate. So that's an example. Like those are two solid examples of, what to do. And I guess when I say there's two bad things, let me tell you two good things or two tips. Tip number one, quality of earnings. Tip number two, if you're going to be selling to a group, get at least three resources. Find three people that are already sold. See how their experience was. And that will really help you to make your decision. Because when you have three options and they're all multi-million dollar deals, you really need to take your time and do the due diligence on the locations just to make sure it's a right fit for the buyer. Where we know as much as we know, but we can't like match personality fit.
Right.
Terms, yes, we can match that, right? Money, we can match that. But personality fit is very important. Culture fit.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. So tell me about some of these events that you do that put dentists together and the buyers together. Is there something that you do to create that matchmaking process or get that matchmaking process moving forward?
Yes. Well, first off, let me just tell you this: it's not an easy thing for us. It takes a lot of work, and we have to have the right people in the room. Typically, at an event, we'll have 10 sellers,
Mhm.
okay, and we'll have 10 buyers. And now our buyers and sellers are throughout the entire country. And so we have to, it's like a puzzle piece with getting all the right people in the room.
Oh yeah. You have to talk about personality. Yeah, that would be yeah,
Yep.
that would
We got to
be
get we got to get the right people, and they have to understand the vision because it's very what I'm doing, what we're doing, me and my business partner Matt Ornstein. It is very non-traditional, and so they have to understand the buyers got to be willing to be excited, stand up on their feet, clap while the seller comes into the room with their walk-on song. They got to understand that they are going to be there with people that are competing to buy the same practice as them, it's that's not easy for some, but we only bring the right people in the room. So the whole experience makes it very different, unique. And I say one of the second biggest thing is like, look, these conversations can be long. Like you might set up a conversation for an hour with a buyer, and then you have to do it like 10 times. It makes way more sense. Just let us pay for your flight and your hotel and get you out there and meet with 10 of them in one day, right?
yes,
Knock it
yes.
out. And the buyers like that as well because it's rare where they would ever be able to see 10 opportunities in one knot. And that's what we're providing that's extremely unique.
That is awesome, man. That is really, really wonderful. So what has it, I know you have a bunch to talk about. I know that we can probably take this
It's
time
okay.
tomorrow and some, but I know you kind of on a hard call for the next hour. So could you tell us give us some information we haven't talked about at this point?
Yeah. Yeah. First off, I think one of the most fun passions I have and something to know is you're looking at dentistry celebrity DJ. And honestly, if you don't like music, then we just don't need to talk in the first place. And I'm what they call an open format DJ, so I like majority of all genres.
Oh,
So yeah, so that's one of the things I'm doing. I've been in 9 different countries and 25 states in the 2 years since I've graduated from Scratch Academy. I'm a battle DJ. I love it. Um, just about a half a year ago, I also graduated from Auctioneer Academy.
Ooh.
And so I'm actually an auctioneer. I'm trying to get you go from one, now two, now $3 million, now four. I'm trying to hike that price up. But I actually am a licensed auctioneer.
All
And
right.
um, a lot of people think I'm auctioning off dental practices. I mean, you call it a silent auction, but I'm not live auctioning off dental practices. That's what people think, but that doesn't happen. But I do benefit auctions. So I find a cause, find a good organization, a 501(c)(3), and do an auction for them at different dental conferences, typically prior to me getting on the set to DJ a party. So, like, perfect example, I flew out to Henry Schein's Thrive Live event.
Henry Shine. Yes, sir. Is that
And
Kansas?
what's that?
Is he in Kansas, Henry Shine?
Oh, they're everywhere, all 50 states. Henry
Okay.
Schein, they're the largest, and they're also amazing. I
National.
flew out to their event to do their main event for Thrive Live at in Las Vegas at Dre's nightclub.
Oh, wow.
They sure do know how to take care of you. I mean, it was amazing. Just such an experience. But just to give you an example, prior to me going to DJ at that event, which there's thousands of people at, um, I got to do a benefits auction and raise money for a cause, which, I think that they're so amazing for doing that. They raise money for a organization that takes care of kids' teeth. And it's just amazing what they did. But prior to that, I flew out to Thrive Live on a private jet
Hmm.
with seven other dental entrepreneurs, and we had a mastermind from Fort Lauderdale all the way to Vegas. And we put our minds together and talked business and business strategy. And everybody made so much more than they paid to get on that private jet from the knowledge. I call it knowledge arbitrage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
just being around the people and sharing the information. I like to say that you can skip years. I'm personally 257 years wise. I've lived 8 lives. And the reason is because I surround myself around people that know different things than me, that are smarter than me, that have been there and done that. And if they already made the mistake and fell on their face, that means I don't have to, because they told me exactly what to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's the best way to learn. I try to tell people that all the time, especially
Yes.
you, especially my younger clients. Yeah. That is so wonderful, man.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Yes. Well, first off, you can go to the website, Dental Pitch Brokerage, and fill out your information and contact me there. I'm very, very active on social media. It is me. I don't have a social media manager. It's me, typos and all. Um, whether it's whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, shoot me a message. Elijah at dentalpitchbrokerage.com is my personal email. But I'm happy to talk to anyone, and no matter what level they are, right? If they're at single practice, 30 locations, 50 locations, doesn't matter. As I say, conversations are free. And I've got to where I've got today from helping people. My currency is not dollars, it's relationships. And if I can help anybody with the knowledge that I have, I don't care if they work with me or not. I know that at the end of the day, I've made a difference. And when you're doing these type of big deals like this, you're literally changing people's whole life. And they're like, I want to retire in, I want to retire in 3 years. Perfect. I want to talk to you. I want to sell my practice in 5 years. I want to talk to you, because what you don't know is you actually want to sell now or within the next year. So that way that you can just practice, be on cruise control, and get a massive paycheck that will have you set for the rest of your life.
Great, great, great information. Great. Elijah Desmond, thank you so much for joining us, serial entrepreneur. We appreciate your time. We'd like to, bring you back and talk to you more about some of these events that you actually sponsor, and whatever you want to talk about, pretty much. I mean, you seem to have a very, very good attitude about how you want to approach it. Relationships first. We love it, and we'll be glad to have you back. Thank you for coming.
Yes. Thank you, Ward. I appreciate you guys. And thanks for having me on the Wealthy Dentist podcast.